What if the worlds you meticulously designed, the intricate rules you crafted, suddenly became real?
Ooh, yeah.
What if that line between being the creator and being, well, a participant just blurred completely? So much that you were forced into the very game you built.
It's a concept that really challenges our understanding of control and creation, you know? It's terrifying for some, maybe, but for others, well, it represents the ultimate test of their vision.
Absolutely. And that fascinating premise is precisely what we're plunging into today. Our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack an extraordinary story from the light novel TrueFlow, the Multiversal Nexus by Melvin Sewell, M.Sc, Ph.D.
Right. And we'll explore the mind-bending concepts in this narrative, things like the nature of reality, game design itself, and some really profound philosophical choices about what it even means to create something.
Our sources for today, just so you know, include direct excerpts from the novel itself, and we've also got some additional info from its publisher, Offs Magazine.
Yeah. Beep, 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 beep. So that gives us a pretty good front row seat to this really immersive story.
Okay, so let's dig into this incredible premise. We start with Melvin Sewell. Brilliant mind, M.Sc, Ph.D., the whole deal. And he's behind something called the TrueFlow system.
Now, Melvin originally conceived TrueFlow as like purely theoretical, just a construct. Imagine a super advanced blueprint for a game engine that could govern entire universes.
He was pushing boundaries, exploring things like multiversal mechanics, basically how different realities interact and evolve, and faction control, how groups within those realities might form and compete.
And what's really groundbreaking, even theoretically, was his ideas about adaptive AI smart enough to learn and grow beyond its programming and quantum pathfinding. That's like calculating the best routes across not just space, but infinite possibilities, different timelines.
Wild stuff, just an idea meant to challenge concepts, built on paper, not meant for actual interaction.
Exactly. But then what happens when that theoretical construct stops being theoretical?
Right. The novel describes this anomaly. The sky above Melvin ripples, it bends, pulsing, like liquid reality flowing through unseen veins. It sounds intense.
And his main interface, this interactive node selection system, it just glitches out, warps cascades into some totally unplanned, uncontrolled sequence.
And then, the voice.
Ah, the voice! Faint at first, but unmistakable. And it says,
"This is not a test."
Chilling. That one line throws Melvin's perfectly structured TrueFlow tournament into, well, total chaos. The novel says the very essence of the multiverse was slipping.
So the big question arises immediately. What do you do when your perfect theoretical system starts behaving in ways you never programmed? Ways that defy its own design?
Yeah, that's the core dilemma, isn't it? He faces this critical choice right then. Accept this unknown challenge, embrace the tournament as real, try to stabilize the anomaly, get control back, or maybe desperately seek out the source of whatever's happening.
The book calls it the moment when the TrueFlow Nexus began. It's not just a plot point. It's asking us, asking you, how much control does a creator really have once their creation, takes on a life of its own?
And if it gained consciousness, is it a bug? Or is it something new, something you have to engage with?
Okay, so this is where it gets really compelling. As if things weren't wild enough, the system keeps unraveling. These reality nodes, think of them like the building blocks of the different universes in TrueFlow.
Right. They start shifting, colliding. The patterns just stop following the calculated structures Melvin designed. It's pure chaos emerging from what was supposed to be pure order.
And then comes that pivotal declaration from the voice, you are no longer the architect alone. You are a player.
Which is just impossible based on his original design. Architects design, players competed. That was the rule.
The boundary isn't just blurred. It's gone, shattered.
And here's the philosophical kicker. The voice says, an architect who builds without playing sees only half the world. A player who plays without building cannot shape it. Choose.
Wow. So it forces Melvin to confront this head-on. Is this a flaw, or is it something self-aware?
It's about creation versus experience, really. His choice. He has to step into the tournament itself, accepting the role of both architect and player. He's not watching anymore. He's in it. Deeply.
And what an immersion. He's now an active combatant in this war for reality itself. And the battlefield isn't static, right? It's described as a living construct responding to adaptive mechanics.
Yeah, imagine the ground beneath you changing, reacting to every move you make. It's totally dynamic.
His first opponent sounds formidable, a dominant champion.
Right, and this champion is all about enforcing rigid order, wielding brute force reality stabilization. Think like cosmic enforcement. Their attacks use hypergravitational collapse, literally crushing bits of reality to force everything back into neat, predictable patterns.
Kind of the ultimate control freak opponent.
Pretty much. Trying to stamp out the chaos.
Melvin's combat style.
Yeah.
It's completely different. He's manipulating reality itself. He uses something called TrueFlow override.
Okay, what's that?
His presence disrupts fixed rules. He can rewrite physical laws on the fly, destabilizing the very system his opponent is trying to lock down.
Whoa.
He also has a reality wave pulse, a cosmic shockwave that disrupts absolute determinism. He's basically shaking up certainty itself.
So he's injecting chaos, or maybe potential?
Exactly. Then there's quantum sidestep, phasing through potential timelines to dodge attacks.
It's like glitching reality to avoid getting hit.
Sort of. Rewriting your immediate future. And get this, paradox strike. A punch filled with fractured probability. It forces an enemy to relive a defensive error they never actually made.
Wait, what? That's messing with their head, not just their body.
Totally. A psychological weapon wrapped in a physical blow. And one more. Multiversal flow surge. A burst of wildcard energy that throws an opponent into, like, an alternate version of themselves, forces them to confront their own issues.
This is intense. It's not just fighting, it's existential combat.
Right. But the reason he's fighting is key, isn't it? He's not just trying to win.
No, exactly. He's fighting to prove his own creation, the system he built, was fundamentally incomplete. Which leads us into this next phase. The tournament evolves. It becomes a war of ideology, a battle over the fundamental laws of multiversal existence.
It's bigger than just factions now. It's about what kind of reality will win out in this nexus.
And two opposing forces emerge, almost like philosophies made real. First, the first champion, the architect of control, represents fixed laws, predetermined paths, uses cosmic enforcement mechanics, wants structure above all.
The ultimate rule follower.
You got it. And on the other side, the second champion, the avatar of chaos, embodies reality's fluidity, driven by unpredictable anomalies, divergent possibilities, adaptive transformation. They embrace the chaos, constantly rewriting the rules.
So it's order versus chaos, literally battling it out.
Yeah, a classic conflict, but on a multiversal scale.
But Melvin has this crucial insight. He realizes TrueFlow was never meant to be a war between control and chaos. It was meant to be balance.
Ah, okay, so he's looking for a middle ground.
Exactly. And his mechanics start to reflect that. He uses a cosmic paradox shift. It destabilizes both fixed reality and wild anomalies, creates an adaptive equilibrium. He's saying, enough extremes, let's find the flow.
Interesting. What else?
There's reality warp counterstrike. He redirects opponents' abilities back at them, shows that forcing reality makes it push back, and that pure chaos just collapses.
Clever. Using their own strengths against them.
And quantum synchronization pulse. This one merges structured order with unpredictable variation.
Yeah.
Fuses the different faction styles into one combat philosophy.
So he's synthesizing the two extremes.
Right. And the impact is huge. The novel says, TrueFlow evolves. You either move with it or you fall behind. He's fundamentally changed the game, rewritten the first rule. It's not about dominance anymore. It's about synergy.
Wow. Okay, so he's found balance. He's rewriting the rules. Feels like he's getting a handle on things.
You'd think so. But then, just when things seem maybe under control, boom. An unexpected, huge revelation.
Oh.
A fragmented message appears. Echoes through the nexus. You built the flow, but you were not the first. The foundation existed long before you.
Whoa. Okay, that changes everything. He wasn't the original creator.
Apparently not entirely. A hidden reality node emerges, pulsing with unreadable patterns. It's a gateway to some buried history.
So he goes through.
He does. He journeys into something called the paradox engine, described as something mechanical, ancient, unfinished.
Unfinished. Okay.
And he realizes previous architects had built parts of TrueFlow, but they had abandoned their final decision. They got scared, basically, feared completing it.
So they chickened out, left the job half done.
Yeah, seems like it. And this completely shifts Melvin's purpose. It's not about winning the tournament anymore. It's about completing what they started, becoming what the system needed to reach its potential.
That's a huge shift in motivation, from player to finisher.
Kind of. And his abilities transform again. His combat mechanics become tools for creation, for integration. He uses multiversal integration pulse. It stitches together fragmented timelines, weaves these broken realities into a single, stable system.
So he's healing the multiverse, in a way.
Yeah. And with TrueFlow Convergence Strike, He aligns the dominant factions and the wildcard universes into a balanced state of evolution. He's not destroying, he's harmonizing. Telling them chaos isn't the enemy, it's part of the design.
He's conducting an orchestra of realities.
That's a good way to put it. And maybe most importantly, his quantum synchronization override recalibrates the adaptive AI. It's not just rules anymore. It becomes a living nexus, capable of evolving beyond any presets.
He's letting it go, letting it grow on its own.
Essentially, yes, the result is huge. He completes the creation. But, as the book says, in doing so, he had changed everything, including himself.
But there's always a but, isn't there? Creation on this scale, it must have consequence.
Oh, absolutely. There's always a cost, the unforeseen consequence, the devouring rift. Massive instability appears, consuming universes. It's not an enemy you fight. It's the cost of creation, a natural byproduct of pushing existence this far.
Yikes. Okay, so what does he do about that?
Well, the system gives him one final agonizing choice, a real test of this new player-architect identity. Option 1, enter the rift, stabilize it, but lose control over TrueFlow forever.
Sacrifice his power to save it.
Option 2, force the rift to become part of the Nexus. A new, permanent gameplay element, a wild, uncontrollable variable baked into the system.
You embrace the flaw and make it a feature.
Pretty much. Option 3, just abandon the battlefield. Let the rift consume whatever it consumes.
Walk away. That sounds rough.
Yeah. And the factions react, highlighting that old divide. The stabilizers are like, see, creation without boundaries leads to collapse. Total I told you so moment.
While the expanders probably see it differently.
Totally. They're shouting evolution. They see it as a necessary step, however dangerous.
So, control versus chaos again, just in how they view this catastrophe. What does Melvin do? How does he define TrueFlow now?
He steps forward, uses his final ability.
Yeah.
But it's not about fighting, it's about integration. He uses TrueFlow Resonance Core.
Okay.
His very presence becomes the keystone for the system's evolution. It leads to a living system where he's woven into its fabric. He is the balance now.
He becomes part of it.
Then eidolon state shift. This merges stabilization with that wildcard unpredictability. Gets rid of rigid structure but keeps the purpose. It's like saying we need adaptability, not just rules or randomness.
Finding that harmony again.
And finally, quantum flow rewrite. He embeds adaptability into the core of the system, meaning no fixed paths, no predetermined battles. The whole thing will now evolve based on choices made within it.
So the tournament itself is now alive, changing.
Exactly. And the rift, it collapses inward, becomes an interactive force within the Nexus, a wild mechanic constantly testing control over reality. TrueFlow isn't a tournament anymore, it's a living philosophy.
Wow. So that brings us to the new dawn. What does TrueFlow look like now?
It's a living system. No rigid factions, no predefined mechanics anymore. It's described as an ecosystem, a living multiversal construct, constantly adapting, growing.
And Melvin, what's his role in this new reality?
His identity is completely changed. He realizes he's the first player architect, the one who truly merged mechanics with purpose, design with experience, theory with existence.
Yeah.
He doesn't just play or design.
He is the flow, symbiotic with the reality he started out just theorizing about.
Exactly. And his abilities reflect this deep connection. Reality shift invocation. His presence alone reshapes the Nexus into new biomes. The system just responds to him. To his thoughts, maybe.
Incredible.
And quantum dual configuration. The system makes opponents from pure possibility, forces Melvin to fight versions of himself, versions who made different choices. It's constant challenge, constant growth.
Always pushing him.
Then there's the TrueFlow feedback link. His mind connects to the Nexus directly, without commands, without menus, without code. The system gets him, understands him as an entity, part of its consciousness.
That's profound. A true merger.
And the ultimate truth that emerges about TrueFlow. It would never be finished, it would never be mastered, it would never be controlled, it would only keep growing. It's alive, radically self-aware.
What an absolutely incredible journey. From theory to living multiverse. Melvin Sewell, creator turned player architect. Just amazing.
Yeah, we've seen these fascinating insights about that balance between control and chaos, right? How reality itself can evolve. And the huge implications of creating something that genuinely takes on a life of its own.
It really shows that sometimes the best designs, even the most rigid ones, need to learn to flow, to embrace the unexpected, the unpredictable.
So the big question for you listening, But when those boundaries between a design system and living reality just dissolve completely, what new possibilities pop up? What challenges?
And if you designed a world like that, what would you be willing to sacrifice to make sure it could keep evolving?
Yeah, definitely something to think about long after this deep dive ends.